Good afternoon, safety champions, and welcome to another edition of the AviAssist Focus Sessions. And this time we come to you from Africa. Today we broadcast from the Rwandan capital Kigali, something we're really excited about. Kigali is also the home of Africa's first aviation safety promotion center, the AviAssist Safety Promotion Center, Rwanda. With the Focus Sessions, AviAssist brings you affordable and certified continuous professional development to raise that bar on safety in African aviation. In our Focus Sessions, we train and entertain for African aviation safety. Every day, thousands of professionals like you work hard to keep commercial aviation safety the safest form of transport, also in Africa. And you do it not for recognition, but simply because you know your industry and your country rely on it, and because it's the right thing to do. Today, we'll be looking at a new domain for AviAssist: drone operations and safety in drone operations. And it's good for you to know that this episode is sponsored by aircraft manufacturer Airbus. Now, today at the table, I'm joined by two specialists in drone operations from Rwandan drone operator Zipline. My first guest is Edison Nyomurinsi. Edison is operations and training manager at Zipline. Great to have you with us, Edison.
Thank you.
Welcome to the studio. And our second guest is Yves Benimana. Yves started his career with Zipline in 2018 as a drone operator. And his years at Zipline included a number of different roles, where since 2022, he is Zipline's compliance manager. Bienvenue chez AviAssist.
Thank you, Tom.
Now, before we dive into our session today, just a bit more patience, gentlemen. Let me tell you about our prize draw, because you, the viewers, have a chance to win $100 in cash in each episode. And here's how it works. Throughout the show, I'll give you two letters. Every 10 minutes or so, we'll show you one of the guests' favorite books here in the studio. Just write down the first letter of the author's first name, and you combine those letters to form that two-letter code. Then submit it on the webpage at the bottom of the screen, and you have 15 minutes until after the live broadcast to submit your code. From all the correct answers, one lucky winner will receive $100 by mobile money. And we'll announce that winner on LinkedIn, so that's a good reason to follow us on LinkedIn. Right, so let's get started and talk about drones and safety, gentlemen. Yves, let me start with you, because we as AviAssist are all about safety, and your compliance role is closely connected to that. But before we dive into the safety, can you tell us a little bit about Zipline, the type of operations, etc., that you do?
Yes, thank you, Tom. So Zipline is a global logistic company using autonomous drone to deliver critical medical supplies as well as commercial deliveries.
Yeah.
So currently we are in 5 countries within Africa: Rwanda, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, and Cote d'Ivoire. And then we also in the US as well as Japan. So far we actually passed the 1 million deliveries bar.
In Rwanda or across the world?
Across the world. And currently, as I speak in Rwanda,
1 million. You think?
1 million.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can imagine the positive impact the company has had delivering like blood product emergencies and all that. As I speak right now in Rwanda, we currently doing around 500 to 600 flights per day.
500 to 600 flights per day. Wow.
Yes.
How many operations have you done in total in Rwanda, approximately?
So in Rwanda, I don't know if you can help with that number.
Well, anyway, 500-600 a day is really impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, I think around 500K, I think, something like that.
Wow, that's quite amazing indeed. And then part of that, Edison, comes to you because you're the training manager, partially. That's one of your jobs, the training manager. How does that work, the training of drone operators? I mean, can I be a drone operator tomorrow with Zipline? What do I do? Where do I sign up?
Well, with Zipline, you have to be first part of Zipline to get into training and learn about how the aircraft works, and also later learn how we do maintenance of the aircraft. So there are a series of training depending on the role you have. So when you start within operations anywhere as a Zipline, then you start as a flight operator. Later on, you will learn about controlling the aircraft in the airspace, and later you learn about maintenance of the aircraft and the systems around it. So it will take some time to learn about all of that to understand how the drone works. So not tomorrow.
So not tomorrow then.
But a couple of months.
And what I find interesting is, if I hear you correctly, you say that everybody gets trained as both an operator and on the engineering side, on the maintenance side. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
you start as an operator, and then later on, as you're getting more understanding on how the aircraft works, then you can sign up to learn about maintenance of the aircraft. So all our operations team are able to operate and also to
Maintain.
run maintenance. Yeah,
That must be really nice to have that multitasking going.
it is.
I think also, I would imagine it's interesting for the staff members because it means you don't always do the same job, I presume.
Yes, you don't always do the same job. So we do have some shifts in our operations. So today you might be doing operations, when tomorrow you might be doing maintenance, and maybe the day after tomorrow you might be doing controller, depending on the work and the needs. And also for every role, you will have to go through training and be certified to be able to do that by the Zipline Academy team, which I'm part of.
You're part of it. Yeah, and actually you told me proudly before we started the broadcast that you've trained quite a significant number of the pilots you currently have.
Yeah, I've trained close to 90% of our staff here in Rwanda. Also, there are some other countries also I've trained in where we operate in Kenya, Ghana, Japan as well.
I could see a moment of a pride face there. Did you see that? Even if it's difficult to see maybe around the corner, but a proud trainer of 90%, really impressive indeed. Eve, if I take it back to you, your role as a safety manager, a compliance manager, for AviAssist, our comfort zone so far has been manned aviation, not unmanned aviation. In manned aviation, sort of the traditional aviation, we work very hard to work on a just culture where people feel free to report if they make a mistake or if they see something happening that is, perhaps could be improved, basically, both from an operational point of view, but also from a safety point of view. Is that something that's being worked on in the unmanned aviation as well, in the drone world, on just culture and safety promotion in that respect?
Yeah, totally. We actually have, just as manned aviation, a safety management system in place.
Okay.
And that's a key part of our policy. The just culture is a key part of that. So we highly encourage our operators to report issues when they see them, because the reason Zipline is where it's at today, with the ticketing systems we have in place, when there's a safety hazard, when there's a human errors even, operators are encouraged to submit a ticket, and then it's reviewed. Either it's operations team, either it's the engineering team, and then from there we improve the system. So the system we have today is the result of so many years of reporting the issues we have on the ground.
And also reporting errors, basically, and failures that happen either through mankind, so to say, or...
Exactly, yeah. So for example, you might push the wrong button, and then we decide to improve the system so that when you push the wrong button at the wrong time, basically it won't activate, things like that. Yeah,
because what we're trying to get away with in manned aviation, again, I'm not so familiar yet, I'm learning a lot from you today, is that people feel free to report, and also that we stay away from assigning blame, because often it is something in the procedure that can be improved, for example, in operations. And so then if we don't learn from each individual incident because people don't report, we don't have a chance to improve. But the challenge, I have to ask you, of course, everywhere in Africa where we work, people say, yes, we encourage reporting, but in reality, sometimes people are still fearing consequences, right? They think if I speak up about something I did or one of my colleagues, it will lead to firing, basically. What do you do within Zipline to try and move away from that fear to report?
Yeah, so the ticketing system we have in place is an issue can happen, but then it will be reported maybe by another team member as well. The person also having made a mistake doesn't go through a punitive process unless it was a willful.
Unless they came drunk to work or something like that.
Exactly. So we really look at every issue more in a way of, let's try to improve the system. Let's look at the process. What's the mistake in the process? Of course, like you said, I believe no company is perfect.
No.
So what we do, we have a lot of safety promotion sessions. we encourage to report some of the issues. We also have, and you can also report anonymously when needed. But we highly encourage people to report issues when possible.
I'd like to add something in that. I think the system we do have is reliable and it works, but we also look back and say it's not everything that has been fixed. Sometimes it could be a human error, and then we look into it and say, why can't we just improve so that this error doesn't happen anymore? And that's how we build the company or the systems over time. Always look at the errors and see, can we fix this error? Can we put procedures in place to ensure this doesn't happen? Or can we change the system in how it works and how it operates? I
have to hold your thoughts for a moment because we have to go to our first book. Because the viewers out there, of course, are keen to win this $100. So the first book is by Paulo Coelho, L'Alchemist. The letter you need is the first letter of the first name, so that's the P. In the aviation, we call that the Papa. I think it was you, Yves, who took this book?
Yes.
Why? What does this book mean to you?
It's a book I really like. So the story is about Santiago, a shepherd who goes on a journey to look for a treasure in Egypt. So through the journey, he meets a lot of different people, and each person he meets, there's a learning in there. But in the end, he realizes that the real treasure is not the treasure that's in Egypt. It's actually the journey itself.
And meeting all those people.
Meeting all those people, learning, and there's a lot of lessons in that book when it comes to following your dreams, and the universe will find a way to make it happen.
To make it happen. Very positive outlook on life. The universe will find a way indeed. Well, excellent. That's I think good to learn a bit about what inspires you in your work or your life. This book. A question that also quite often comes up in the domain of drones is the challenge of operating drones in the same airspace that is being used by manned aviation. What are some of the issues that you come across in that respect from an operational point of view? How do you deal with that as Zipline here in Rwanda?
So our aircraft is built to be able to fly longer distances and further distances. So some of the challenges you face usually will be weather, but also with the work of improving the system, we get to put systems in place and ensure that if there is bad weather, the system can think and say, let me return back, for example. There are also some challenges, of course, but with the shared airspace, the regulations which Eve is part of can answer much better. But we fly to a particular altitude, which gives us a separation within the airspace with also a manned system, a manned aircraft in this case. Maybe.
So basically you stay below the manned aviation. Is that how it works or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You stay below. In Rwanda, we currently fly on
below 400
feet.
Yeah.
Above the terrain.
Above the terrain. Yeah.
Which is a challenge in Rwanda because the terrain is really hilly.
It changes. But also the system, when we do also submit some routes to ensure that we stay below, and if there's some areas maybe we're flying higher because of the terrain, then we might change some routes. Eve has much more information.
Go ahead.
I'll take that one. So what you just noted is very important. We have the strategic deconfliction, which is...
Strategic deconfliction.
Strategic deconfliction, which is flying below 400 feet. And then we have the tactical one, which is we have a detect and avoid system.
Yeah.
So our drones can actually detect any aircraft with a ADS-B out. And
what is ADS-B for some of our viewers may not know, roughly?
So it's a system that allows monitoring across ATC and different platforms.
So it provides a signal to the radar controller.
Yeah, that provides signal to controllers. So our drones have an ADS-B in and can detect the ADS-B out and would be able to autonomously avoid an aircraft in case they're flying around the same area. Secondly, I think in the drone industry, it's actually one of the biggest subjects right now, the unmanned air traffic system, traffic management.
Yeah.
aircraft tracking systems, traffic management, the UTM.
UTM, yeah.
So at Zipline, we still develop an UTM, but we currently have a system that provides situational awareness. So air traffic controllers can actually see our drones at all times.
Okay, because of the ADS-B out, basically?
Yes,
Yeah.
not ADS-B actually. We have, it's an in-house system.
Okay.
So it's through a network, basically, through our servers. So once we give them access to, it's just on a computer or on your phone, you can see all our traffic at all times. So that helps as well with the other aircraft, manned aircraft users, and then as well the other US operators as well.
Okay. Now, another thing in my journey to prepare for this, because I've told you I'm a very unknowing person when it comes to drones. Again, like I said, I'm learning myself a lot, but I've also read in your documentation that you have BVOLS operations and other type of operations. I don't know who wants to take that question, but what is BVOLS operations?
So that would be flying beyond visual line of sight. So if you look at drones, usually we know these small drones, maybe to take videos and take pictures,
Yeah.
where you can control within a limited distance.
From your phone or
From
something
your
like
phone,
that. Yeah.
From
Okay.
a controller you might have. Our operations goes beyond the visual line of sight, so which means you can fly up to 100 kilometers away.
Which means you can't see
So
the
you
drone,
cannot see
obviously.
the aircraft.
Yeah.
And then one of the systems my colleague Yves mentioned was a system where we can track our aircraft wherever they will be in the airspace. And in that case, you can learn about where the location. You can learn any issue the aircraft may have, and if you need to take action, whether returning the aircraft, you can also do that. So yeah, that's the system that can help you know about your aircraft when it's even far away from you.
When it's beyond visual line of sight.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all your operations are basically BVLOS, I think it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of safety, Yves, what are typical safety issues? Not necessarily so much for Zipline, perhaps, but typical safety issues that come up with the operation of drone. Of course, there's the separation, we spoke about that, from the regular aviation, but what are other things you quite often encounter in Zipline or drone operations in general?
Talking mainly on safety concerns.
Yeah. What would be the main?
Yeah, apart from the air risk that we just talked about, there's also the ground risk. So what we have on our drone is that all our systems are redundant.
Yeah.
They don't have to have what we call a parachute landing that often. So the parachute landing is a system we designed so that if the drone has an issue and cannot keep flying, it will safely land on the ground.
It will deploy a parachute by itself, basically, or?
Exactly. It's totally automated. If it detects an issue, we deploy a parachute and then we'll send a team on ground to get it. Another part of safety that's very important is the community engagement, because all the areas where we operate need to be aware of our drones, how they work, if you see one, how you should react.
Interesting, yeah. So you go out there to the communities to tell them about it, or?
Yeah, we have a team that handles that. And we often do as well, invite people to our centers to look at our technology and look how our drones work, explain the mission. We're not flying for fun.
Yeah, or for bad things, we're flying for good things.
We're flying to save lives and deliver medical products. So yeah, when it comes to safety, there's that part as well.
So the ground risks, and also I would imagine, because are your bases in populated areas, or are they specifically located away from populated areas? Because I can imagine also with you, the landing and the takeoff is perhaps some of the more risky phases.
Yeah, we actually avoid, the way we design all our routes, we avoid populated areas. There's a certain threshold agreed upon with the authorities that we need to avoid. And also internally, we don't want to be flying over populated areas as much as possible. So that's one of the measures we have in place. So all of this is part of the risk assessments we do whenever we select a location, as well as when we're working on our systems.
Okay, well, it's time for a short commercial break for a message from one of our sponsors. So let's have a look at that.
At Airbus, we fly new technologies off the ground. You can be who you want to be. We're breaking down barriers, challenging biases. You can switch it up. From home to factory, from the production line to the final assembly line, from the final assembly line to the engineering office, from managing projects to leading the executive board of management. From dreams to designs. From designs to skies. Our women make great things happen every day. Accelerate action in the workplace worldwide. What are you waiting for? Make your switch today. Join us.
Welcome back to the Focus Sessions, and today, as you may remember, we're talking about drones and drone safety with my guests here in the studio, Edison and Eve. Eve, we also have quite often lots of young viewers who are just starting out or who hope to start in aviation. You have a impressive career, both of you coming from an engineering background, I guess. Tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get into this domain?
Yeah, sure. It was actually, so I got graduated in mechatronics engineering. So when I came back, I was looking for a job. And as soon as I got into the interview with Zipline and I saw the technology, I told myself I need to get in. So I got hired. I was a flight operator at first.
Yeah.
It was the first center in Muhanga in 2018. And then we moved to the second center in Kayonza. I became the flight operations lead, then the operations lead as well. And then around 2022, I had a chance to join a few meetings with regulators, and I really got interested on policies and safety management systems and all the frameworks that allow drone technology to expand. So I got the opportunity to switch teams and join the regulatory team where I'm currently the
Okay. Close to my background as a lawyer, so we're sort of in the same. I mean, just take you back to that moment when you got that first job at Zipline. I would imagine everybody around you must have been a cool kid in town, right?
Yeah.
Because this is, yeah, I mean, oh no.
Yeah.
The people around you, what did they say? I mean, because it's such it started to become more normal now, but of course, certainly, 8 years ago, it was all very new and drones has this hip vibe to it. So how did people around you, how did your parents react? You're in aviation, but you're not a pilot of a big aircraft. How did that work?
Yeah, actually my father was a pilot, so
okay.
So it was very interesting.
But not with drones?
Not with drones,
okay, yeah.
with manned aviation. So it was very interesting that I got into aviation as well. So everyone was pretty excited and asking me, what are those drones? What do you really do? Can I come visit the center? Can I come see what you guys do? And then, like you mentioned, back then, we're doing, 5 deliveries a day.
Yeah, 10 max.
10 maximum. So it wasn't that common. But now everyone pretty much in Rwanda knows about our drones.
Through the exposure in the newspapers and RTV and all these things.
Exactly.
Edison, how was it for you? Where did you start? Engineering, I think, as well, or?
Yes, I have a background in electrical engineering and automation. And when I applied for a job at Zipline, I was more interested in learning how does that thing work.
Yeah.
What's
inside?
What's inside? And that's what led me to joining. I was interested in learning about, especially the system itself and how it works, and I got hired, and
you were a cool kid in your community then, or not?
I think I was. I think I was. And I joined operations as an operator, of course. And later on, I joined the academy team where now I was training pretty much everyone on how it works now that I've learned how it works.
And work it with all the failures and errors that were made on the road. Yeah.
Things we can improve, future systems as well. So it was really cool to be part of it as well. Yeah.
And I think what's really important also for the viewers to take away is we very often hear at the University of Rwanda as well, for example, people say, well, I'm a mechanical engineer or I'm an electrical engineer, I can't work in aviation, because the assumption seems to be, people seem to think you have to be an aeronautical engineer to go into aviation. And you are both proof of the fact that that's not the case, right? Because you said electrical engineering and mechatronics,
Mechatronics,
which is, I think, also taught here at university.
I believe so.
Yeah, and certainly electronic engineering indeed. So. all of you out there who are engineers thinking, I don't qualify because I'm a mechanical or a civil or a electrical engineer, don't think so, because here's two living examples of how you can enter. And it's the same for me. I think an error we often make in aviation, in fact, it was done at a few conferences this year as well. We talk about the importance of getting pilots, air traffic controllers and cabin crew. But there are so many jobs out there. Aviation law is my specialization where I started. I've never worked in it, but I got into aviation that way. And yours is also a good example, I think. So maybe in the spirit of your book, don't give up. And you said what? The universe will find its way, so to say. So in other words, if you're passionate enough, it doesn't really matter, I think, what you've studied to some extent, because we also need marketing people. Here in Rwanda, you have UTB, a private university that teaches lots of marketing and commercial things. Also, these things are needed in aviation. So it's nice to hear some of your journey there, gentlemen. Now, we also offer a chance for the viewers out there to qualify for a certificate of attendance. And you can read all about the exam and qualification criteria on our website. It's time for another short break from our discussions here at the table. And if you're new to AviAssist, here's a short video explaining what we do since 30 years.
Africa, a continent on the rise. Africa is the world's second biggest air transport growth market, and there is a lot to do. Africa is in the process of giving the continental aviation industry a place on the world map, on all fronts. This requires unprecedented efforts, even more so in a post-COVID-19 recovery. It means eliminating a backlog, but also respecting sustainability and CO2 emissions, building safety on the ground and in the air with technical and operational training. More than ever, international cooperation is vital to give what is arguably the most important economic link between Africa and the rest of the world, connecting people across the vast distances in Africa. An essential link, and that's why there is AviAssist. Africa and AviAssist. We have been leading, building and supporting safety promotion for the African aviation industry since 1995. Affordable, independent and professional. We stand up for aviation safety in Africa. We change attitudes and produce safety. Our professionals support African professionals, and we do it with passion by delivering on-site and online courses across Africa and more. AviAssist. Join us in Kigali or anywhere else on the continent. The African aviation industry needs you right now, more than ever. AviAssist.
Right, let's pick up where we left off. Drone operations and safety here today with Eve and Edison. Zipline Rwanda. I'll put a bit of a commercial in there for you as well, because you want to expand or not, because you told about all these different countries where Zipline as a company operates. It has grown significantly, I think, in that respect or not, over the last years.
Growth has happened in operations, but also in the products and services the company offers. Okay. Company started with healthcare products such as blood, but as it expands, there's also delivering maybe your next meal on your door.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which is starting in the US with new systems we have. But yeah, growth has happened over the last couple of years. The plan has been operating in Rwanda and also in other countries.
And that growth you mentioned earlier, I think, Eve, initially when you joined, like 5 or 10 operations a day, now 500 operations a day. That in itself is also, I would imagine, a risk, right? Because it's quite a strong growth. Yeah. Also with more conflicts perhaps in the airspace with other operators in the airspace. Is that something, how have you addressed that as Zipline, that growth, how to deal with that growth safely?
Yeah, so we had to scale up really quickly and learn fast. So I talked about continuous improvement, Kaizen, like Todd, I would say. So we had to learn really fast from human errors. Like I said, we have a very robust ticketing system to report issues and to fix them quickly, improve the system quickly, and all that. So through the years, we managed to improve our system to make them, the drone, for example, itself has been we had Robin, then we had Sparrow, that's the names.
Yeah.
Before that we had Quail. So that's like, we had many generations of this drone.
So you're like in the fourth or fifth generation of from where you started originally.
From where we started originally. So they're much more reliable and in all kind of weather conditions. Secondly, when I talked about the situational awareness that we share with the other airspace users, the system itself as well has been updated so many times. So actually, when we started, we just had a voice over IP with the air traffic controllers.
So you just talk to them basically?
Just talk to them. Then we realized it couldn't scale, so we had to bring up something visual. That's how we came with the UTM. The in-house UTM, because we don't have the other drone operators in there. And then we kept improving on all those systems to ensure we have a high level of safety.
So if I can just take you back to that, what you just mentioned is initially you were talking to air traffic control, saying we are here, this is our position, like basically traditional aviation used to do as well. And now it's basically data that is exchanged with between the operator and the air traffic service provider here.
Yeah, totally. They have full visibility on our traffic at all times.
And do you still talk as well, or that's completely gone with air traffic control?
That's gone. We talk only if needed, but so far operations are very seamless since we have implemented that system.
So you don't, I mean, again, just coming from this manned aviation domain, you don't use the same frequencies as Rwanda would use to broadcast your information. It's just a data link that you use for that.
Yeah, and we actually, they can also, on the application, actually, we can have temporary flight restriction as well. So that's our in-house, we call them controller, but they're not really controllers. They're more like, I would call them flight dispatchers.
Yeah.
Our in-house folks, operators can also see it, and they will avoid an area
where there's build-up of traffic or...
where there's traffic.
Because of course there also Rwanda is going to see a big growth, very likely. I mean, not just in unmanned aviation, but with Bugesera Airport coming online 2028, I think the current plans are. Is that going to affect maybe even your training, because you have to train for a much busier airspace, or?
So that's more regulations. So when there is an operation such as like airports, there is a distance where our drones won't be flying close to.
So there's like a cordon or a zone, basically, where you can't...
You can call it like a restricted area, where we design our routes based on those restricted areas. And those will be airports, for example, and not just Bugesera Airport. There's also other airports. Aerodromes we have, where our drones, based on the regulations, we won't be flying nearby it. There'll be a distance of about 10 nautical miles from the airport where we can't fly in the airspace. And that's sort of like how we try to avoid the airspaces that are very busy, where collision can happen. Yeah.
Okay, and that makes me think of the data, you use to know where those zones are that you can't fly, which in manned aviation is the Aeronautical Information Publication, where you pick the data of lots of things related to aviation. Is that also a book that, I think that's at your domain probably, Yves, that you use and have to abide by, I would imagine, the AIP?
Yeah, totally. We have to abide by it. The advisory circular as well. So what happens is we have a team in charge of designing the routes.
Yeah. And
all that data is into our systems. So when they design the routes, none of the routes we have can be deployed, can be flew on if there's a keep out zones or any specific area we are violating.
So again, that's as data entered into your system, so that the system knows this is a closed area or a restricted zone.
Yes.
Quite impressive to hear how that, I guess that's the leap almost, where you seem to have mostly skipped. You had this voice in the beginning where you talked to air traffic control, but pretty quickly realized that if you want to grow and you want to mitigate those risks, one of the ways of doing that is by going to data exchange.
Yeah, and as I said, global UTM, like a national UTM, is what a lot of countries is currently working on, because the countries realize that without full situational awareness and an automated way to coordinate the drone traffic, it won't work.
And UTM is unmanned traffic management or something?
Unmanned aircraft systems traffic management.
So as opposed to ATM, which we have in manned aviation, so to say, you have a UTM. That would be, and I would imagine at some point in time, would they integrate, or how do you see the future would happen? Would it be one airspace, or would you foresee, I mean, this is maybe a big question, or would you foresee that they would remain separate, ATM and UTM?
Well, the 400 feet AGL limit probably will stay. I'm not sure, but there's still a lot of discussions on the standards on how it should look like. Everyone is still figuring out how it's going to work
worldwide, I think, right? It's not a Rwandan issue, that's worldwide.
It's worldwide. It's worldwide. No one has really found the right solution and the right concepts yet. Yeah.
Edison, if I can just take you to the training in that respect, because Yves mentioned the 400 feet AGL, which is another expression we use, above ground level.
Yeah.
You have, land of 1,000 hills.
Yeah.
Does that actually mean that when you train people, you train them also to know that basically the drone will make the same movement as the mountains? It goes into the valleys, low, etc.
Yes, we do train them that. Sometimes the behavior might be different. Like when the routes are being designed by a separate team, they also look at how high can our drone go. If it's like a very tall mountain, you won't take a risk of flying over that mountain. Maybe you can fly on the side of the mountain. Which minimizes the amount of energy the aircraft has to use.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So in training also, we do ensure that everybody understand how the system works when it's outside of the operations area.
Because one thing we haven't spoken about, I think, today is sort of the action radius. How far can you fly with the drones?
Yeah, from the site or from the distribution center, there is a radius of 80 kilometer to 100 kilometer.
Okay.
So going 80 kilometer to 100 and coming back another 80 to 100 kilometers.
Because your drones won't stop, they won't land.
They won't land.
They drop the cargo with the parachute.
And they return.
And they return.
Yeah, and they do that automatically, and no one is telling the drone to drop the package.
It's based on GPS coordinates. It knows this is where I drop.
Yes,
okay.
Based on that information in the route as well. Because when you're designing the route, then you put a location where the aircraft will drop the package.
And you say 80 to 100 kilometers. How long are your flights? What time should I think of? Is it 20 minutes up and 20 minutes down? What's the longest you normally deploy, so to say?
I don't have good number right now, but it could be an hour and a few minutes.
One way?
One way. And another hour to come back.
Wow, that's quite and that's, I would imagine, largely determined by the battery capacity. So if you would have new generations of batteries, that might extend your...
Yes, so you will have batteries. If you have a fairly new battery, then that can do close to that 1 hour. But we have the status, so we know the status of each battery that goes into the aircraft. If it is a battery that is a little bit old, then we will just do shorter distance flights.
Because the capacity of the battery deteriorates, gets worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. We have to go to the second book for the viewers out there, keen to win $100. So the second book that we've got for you today is by Bill Freund, The Making of Contemporary Africa. So the only thing that's important for you out there is the first letter of the first name of the author. So that's the B, the Bravo, as we say in aviation, when you're on the radio. But we've just heard that in unmanned airspace, there's not much radio use, but it will be the Bravo. So that's your second letter for the code that you can submit. Well, we have a little bit more time left. Is there something you want to get off your chest? Something you're really proud of? For example, you mentioned the training. Yves, if you look back at your 7-8 years with I keep saying ProFlight, with Zipline, what is a moment of pride that stands out for you?
Yeah, there's quite a few, but I think the latest is being part of the team that set up the first distribution center in Côte d'Ivoire. Your environment, first French-speaking country.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting experience.
And when you say setting up a distribution center, what should I think of? You're distributing drones from there, or that's why you have some drones that distribute goods?
Yeah, exactly. When I say the distribution center, it's basically the facility with the drones, with our launcher, our recovery system, where the drones take off and land. So we had a team of folks from Rwanda and Ghana, and flew in there, dropped all the system, installed everything, and managed to get certified and have the rights to fly by the regulators within the required period.
And again, with the Zipline brand, it's the same company that does it in Côte d'Ivoire.
Yes, it's Zipline as well.
So you went from this proud moment of people saying, hey, this guy's got a cool job as a drone operator, to now also going abroad and being able to, you know, have other people benefit from your experience. Yeah, that's certainly a moment of pride indeed. Edison, you mentioned the training. Anything else that if you look back, you think, gosh, that's something I will tell my kids if one day they would be there, perhaps.
Yeah, I think something I'm very proud of is to look back and how, you know, the training that I've done for the last couple of years, and looking at everyone that is doing operations right now, that I go to operations areas and I realize I've trained
this one, I've trained that one.
I've trained that one. I think it's that moment where someone joins the company or joins operations and they have zero information about drones operations. And then in the end, after a month, 2, they're already aware about everything, which is really, really good to see, that I'm really proud of. Yeah.
And also they always say, he who teaches learns, you know, so by having to pass on that knowledge to somebody else, you learn how other people, how colleagues might think. So very interesting. Have you also been involved with training in Côte d'Ivoire, for example, in other places, or that's yet to come?
I've done training for other countries, in Kenya as well, zipline operations in Kenya. I've trained a team over there. I've also I was also part of the team that trained in Ghana as well in our operations, and also proudly I trained the operations team in Japan.
In Japan,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one day, let's say 50 years from now, you can walk through your village here in Rwanda and think, all those youngsters, I've trained them in my days, basically.
Yeah, one day.
Well done. Yeah. Great to hear. Well, gentlemen, I'm afraid this is all we have time for today. Thank you very much for joining me here in the studio in Kigali. Again, it's a great privilege for us to come to Kigali, even with our events, but to now also be here with the focus sessions is really a fantastic leap for us. And then to you lovely viewers out there from Yaoundé to Juba, to Djibouti and Addis Ababa, thank you for tuning in to Safety Promotion. Now, if you enjoyed today's focus session, please be our ambassador and tell all your friends and your colleagues about the work of AviAssist. Join us, come and visit us here in Rwanda at the first AviAssist Safety Promotion Center, the ASPC Rwanda. Lots of exciting courses coming up there at the University of Rwanda this year and the years after. We will also have several courses take place at the Landover Aviation Business School in Lagos, Nigeria. This includes a course in safety management systems and also an international air law course. More courses coming up in Kenya, Namibia, South Africa and Zambia later in the year, including a full flight data monitoring course at Kenya Airways in October. And as we always say at AviAssist, only you can target safety. We look forward to continue to work with you to improve African aviation safety. Join us again for the next focus session and continue your learning. Same time, same frequency. For now, we say Murakoze to the team here in the studio and to Rwanda, and thanks for watching.